The silent difference. Have you ever stopped to wonder why some people appear exhausted, fragile, and worn down by the time they reach 50, while others in their 70s still move with confidence, clarity, and energy? The contrast is striking, yet most people misunderstand the reason behind it. Many assume it is genetics, luck, or access to better healthcare, but those explanations only scratch the surface. The real difference is far quieter and far more personal. It is shaped by the small, often invisible choices made day after day. Choices that seem insignificant in the moment, yet compound over time to either strengthen the body or slowly break it down. Aging does not suddenly happen overnight. It is the result of thousands of tiny signals sent to the body over the course of years. Every action you take sends a message. How you wake up in the morning, how you move, how you breathe, how you respond to stress, each of these tells your body whether it is safe, threatened, supported, or neglected. Over time, the body listens carefully and adjusts its internal systems accordingly. Some people unknowingly train their bodies to live in constant survival mode. Their days begin with rushing, tension, and mental overload. The body responds by conserving energy, increasing inflammation, and prioritizing short-term survival over long-term repair. Others, often without realizing it, send a completely different message. Their routines signal stability, awareness, and movement. As a result, their bodies invest more energy into maintenance, regeneration, and resilience. This is why aging looks so different from one person to another. It is not about avoiding time, it is about how the body experiences time. When the body feels supported, it ages slowly and gracefully. When it feels threatened, it accelerates decline as a protective response. Understanding this silent difference is the first step. Because once you realize that aging is not a fixed destiny but a biological response, you gain something powerful: control. Control over the signals you send, the habits you build, and the future version of yourself that those habits will inevitably create. The body's hidden intelligence. The human body is far more intelligent than most people realize. It is not simply a machine that wears out over time. It is a living system, constantly observing, adapting, and responding to the signals it receives. Every second, your body is making decisions about where to send energy, what to repair, and what to sacrifice in order to keep you alive. Hidden beneath conscious awareness, there is a powerful internal intelligence at work. This system continuously evaluates your environment and your behavior, asking a simple but critical question: is this body in danger, or is it safe enough to invest in long-term survival? The answer to that question determines how your body ages. When the body perceives threat, whether from chronic stress, poor sleep, inactivity, or constant mental pressure, it shifts its priorities. Energy is redirected toward immediate survival. Repair, regeneration, and optimization are placed on hold. This response is not a flaw. It is a deeply ingrained survival mechanism designed to protect you during difficult times. However, problems arise when the body remains in this state for too long. Modern life often keeps the nervous system activated for years without relief. The body never receives a clear signal that the danger has passed. As a result, it slowly reduces investment in cellular repair, hormonal balance, immune resilience, and metabolic efficiency. On the other hand, when the body receives consistent signals of safety and stability, something remarkable happens. It begins to unlock its hidden intelligence. Instead of merely surviving, it starts optimizing. Systems communicate more efficiently. Recovery improves. The body becomes better at preserving strength, clarity, and function over time. This is what researchers refer to when they talk about a natural longevity switch. It is not a single organ or gene, but a coordinated response across multiple systems working together. And the key insight is this: the switch is not controlled by age. It is controlled by signals. Understanding this changes everything. Aging is no longer something that simply happens to you. It becomes something your body actively responds to. And once you understand how deeply intelligent your body truly is, you realize that influencing this process is far more achievable than most people ever imagine. How the switch is activated. The longevity switch does not turn on by accident. It responds to patterns, not moments. The body is less interested in what you do once in a while and far more focused on what you repeat consistently. This is why extreme efforts rarely create lasting change, while small daily actions can reshape the aging process over time. At the beginning of each day, the body is especially receptive to signals. After hours of rest, internal systems are resetting, hormones are recalibrating, and energy pathways are being reorganized. In this state, even subtle behaviors can have a powerful influence on how the body chooses to allocate its resources. When the day begins with urgency, mental overload, or physical stagnation, the body interprets this as instability. Stress hormones rise, muscles tighten, and the nervous system remains on high alert. In response, the body delays repair and focuses on conserving energy. This pattern, repeated over years, gradually accelerates aging. In contrast, when the body receives clear signals of movement, calm, and awareness, it draws a very different conclusion. Gentle motion tells the body that strength is needed. Slow, controlled breathing signals safety. Intentional focus reduces unnecessary stress responses. Together, these inputs shift the nervous system away from survival mode and toward restoration. This shift is subtle but profound. Blood flow improves, oxygen delivery becomes more efficient, and cellular communication sharpens. The body begins prioritizing maintenance rather than damage control. Over time, this leads to stronger tissues, more stable energy levels, and greater resilience to physical and mental stress. Importantly, activating the longevity switch does not require perfection. The body is not looking for flawless routines, only reliable signals. Consistency matters more than intensity. What you do most mornings carries more weight than what you do once in a month. Once this pattern is established, the body remembers it. Each day reinforces the message that it is safe to invest in long-term function. And slowly, almost invisibly, the trajectory of aging begins to change, not through force, but through alignment with the body's natural design. What happens inside your cells? Once the longevity switch is activated, the changes that follow are not dramatic on the surface, but they are profound at the cellular level. This is where aging truly begins and where it can also be slowed. Every cell in your body constantly balances two opposing processes, damage and repair. The outcome of that balance determines how well your body functions over time. Under chronic stress and inactivity, cells prioritize survival. Energy production becomes inefficient, waste products accumulate, and repair mechanisms are delayed. Inflammation quietly increases, not as a disease, but as a protective response. Over time, this environment accelerates cellular wear and shortens the functional lifespan of tissues. When the body shifts into a restorative state, the internal environment changes. Cellular cleanup processes become more active, removing damaged components and recycling usable materials. Energy factories inside the cells operate more efficiently, producing power with less strain and fewer byproducts. Communication between cells also improves. Signals related to repair, immunity, and metabolic balance travel more accurately. This coordination allows tissues to respond faster to stress and recover more effectively. Instead of reacting late, the body begins to anticipate and adapt. One of the most important changes involves inflammation. In a restorative state, the body no longer keeps inflammatory signals elevated unnecessarily. This reduces strain on joints, blood vessels, and organs. Over time, lower inflammation supports better mobility, clearer cognition, and more stable energy levels. Importantly, these cellular improvements do not aim to make the body superhuman. Their goal is efficiency. A body that wastes less energy repairing damage has more capacity to maintain strength, focus, and resilience as the years pass. This is why the effects of the longevity switch accumulate slowly but steadily. You may not notice dramatic changes in a week or even a month. But inside, the cellular environment is becoming more orderly, more efficient, and more protective of long-term function. Aging, at its core, is not simply about time moving forward. It is about how well your cells manage stress, repair damage, and communicate with one another. When those systems are supported, the body does not fight time, it adapts to it. Stress versus restoration. The human body was never designed to live under constant pressure. Stress, in its natural form, is meant to be temporary, a short response that helps the body react and then recover. The problem begins when stress becomes continuous and the recovery phase never fully arrives. In modern life, stress rarely comes from physical danger. Instead, it arrives through deadlines, constant stimulation, emotional pressure, and mental overload. To the body, however, there is little difference. These signals are interpreted as ongoing threat. As a result, the nervous system remains activated, keeping the body locked in a defensive state. When this happens, restoration is postponed. Digestion becomes less efficient, sleep quality declines, and hormonal balance slowly shifts. Energy that could be used for repair is redirected toward vigilance. Over time, the body adapts to stress by lowering its expectations for recovery, which accelerates wear and tear across multiple systems. Restoration is not passive. It is an active biological process that only occurs when the body feels safe enough to invest in itself. When stress signals decrease, the nervous system relaxes, allowing blood flow to improve and internal communication to stabilize. This creates the conditions necessary for healing and regeneration. The contrast between stress and restoration shapes the aging process more than most people realize. A stressed body ages faster not because it is weak, but because it is constantly preparing for danger. A restored body ages more slowly because it is free to allocate resources toward maintenance and resilience. Importantly, restoration does not require the complete absence of stress. What matters is balance. Small, intentional practices that interrupt chronic stress patterns can shift the body's baseline state. Over time, these interruptions teach the nervous system that recovery is not only possible, but expected. As restoration becomes more consistent, the body regains flexibility. Stress responses become shorter and less intense. Recovery becomes faster and more complete. This adaptability is one of the clearest markers of long-term health and longevity. Understanding the difference between stress and restoration is essential. Aging is not simply about reducing effort or avoiding challenge. It is about ensuring that every period of demand is followed by sufficient recovery. When that balance is restored, the body no longer rushes toward decline, it stabilizes, strengthens, and endures. The power of simple morning habits. Morning is not just the beginning of a new day. For the body, it is a critical transition point where internal systems decide how the next several hours will be handled. After sleep, the nervous system, hormones, and metabolic processes are resetting. This makes the morning one of the most influential windows for shaping how the body responds to stress, energy, and aging. Simple morning habits send powerful signals. Light movement tells the body that strength and mobility are required. It increases circulation, gently activates muscles, and prepares joints without triggering stress. This movement is not about intensity, but about presence. It reminds the body that it is meant to function, not remain dormant. Breathing also plays a central role. Slow, controlled breathing in the morning communicates safety to the nervous system. It reduces unnecessary tension and lowers stress signals before the day fully begins. This shift allows the body to conserve energy and redirect it toward repair and stability instead of defense. Equally important is mental orientation. How attention is directed in the first moments of the day influences emotional tone and stress reactivity. A calm, intentional focus prevents the nervous system from entering urgency too early. This reduces the cumulative stress load that often builds throughout the day without being noticed. These habits work because they are simple and repeatable. The body responds best to consistency, not complexity. A few minutes of intentional movement, breathing, and awareness practiced daily can create a strong baseline of stability. Over time, this baseline becomes the body's default state. As this pattern reinforces itself, mornings stop being chaotic transitions and become anchors. The body learns that each day begins with clarity and control. This expectation alone reduces stress responses and improves resilience to physical and mental challenges. The true power of simple morning habits lies in their compounding effect. Each morning reinforces the message that the body is supported and capable. Over weeks and months, this message shapes how systems communicate, recover, and age. What begins as a small daily ritual becomes a long-term investment in strength, clarity, and longevity. A different way to age. Aging is often described as something that happens to us, an unstoppable force that slowly takes away strength, clarity, and vitality. But the reality is far more nuanced. Aging is not just the passing of time. It is the cumulative result of how the body responds to the signals it receives every day. When the body is constantly rushed, stressed, and neglected, it adapts by prioritizing short-term survival. In this state, decline is not a failure, it is a strategy. The body reduces investment in long-term maintenance because it believes resources are limited and danger is near. Over years, this strategy becomes visible as accelerated aging. But there is another way to age. When the body consistently receives signals of safety, movement, and balance, it makes a different calculation. It recognizes that the environment is stable enough to support repair, resilience, and efficiency. Instead of preparing for collapse, the body prepares for continuity. This shift does not promise immortality, perfection, or the absence of challenge. What it offers is adaptability. A body that adapts well does not fear stress, it recovers from it. It does not resist time, it works with it. Strength may change, but function remains. Energy may fluctuate, but resilience endures. The most important insight is this: longevity is not built through rare, heroic efforts. It is built through ordinary decisions repeated consistently. How you begin your day, how you manage stress, how you move, and how you rest all contribute to the signals that shape your future self. Each day becomes a vote. A vote for accelerated decline or for sustained function. These votes may seem insignificant on their own, but over years they determine how the body ages and how life is experienced. A different way to age is available to everyone, regardless of starting point. It does not require turning back time. It requires aligning daily habits with the body's natural intelligence. When you do this, aging stops being something you fight against. It becomes a process you guide. And in that shift, life does not just become longer, it becomes fuller, clearer, and more resilient with every passing year.